It would appear that Her Majesty the Queen warned Meghan Markle all about this at the very start of a very short tenure as part of the British monarchy. But it appears that once again Meghan was leading her own, whatever you want to call it, band, parade, orchestra. Seemingly though, she got on initially incredibly well, some might suspect, with our late and wonderful monarch Queen Elizabeth II. And there's no suggestion that in fact the Queen ever really lost sight of her feelings for that. Yes, there were statements that, she was grateful Meghan wasn't turning up, for instance, for certain events, of course, like the memorial and funeral of the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. But seemingly at the start they had something of a very positive nature. But it was this particular event that took place that really baffled and then angered Her Majesty the Queen. Let me explain. To see you today, and as ever, thank you so much for joining me. Nice to have your company, whatever you're doing. Do keep safe, do keep well, and as ever, thank you for taking the time out. It is important, I know, because we're all very busy, aren't we, whatever we're doing. I do like reading your comments, by the way, when you say, you do enjoy the company and the chats beforehand. That's what I do it for. I know a lot of people are out there looking for a bit of company conversation. We all are, doesn't matter who we are. We all get a bit fed up from time to time. And sometimes the radio's not enough. I don't know if you find that, but you can't find anything to interact with. It all seems to make your blood boil even more about the bad things that are going on in the world. Am I right? Yeah, you have to turn it off, don't you? Think, well, I'm getting angry now, So some gentle conversation sometimes is just the ticket with a pot of tea, isn't it? Absolutely. Now, back as ever to your royal story of the day. This particular story is quite revealing in itself, because, as I say, when Her Majesty the Queen first clapped eyes on Meghan Markle, obviously she had certain doubts, certain worries, a former actress and seemingly willing to give up the limelight, the spotlight for everything, which really did send a lot of signals to our wonderful monarch, a woman of very, very wise, sage advice, if you like. She knew exactly, she'd met them all, discovered them all that sort of stuff. What was interesting though was, as Harry pointed out, apparently Her Majesty was won over by the fact that Meghan really got on well with the royal corgis. I'm not surmising that that would have been enough, but that's Harry's version of events. And as we now know, could we truly believe those events? But what was interesting was that this particular development, because, she was basically going through certain things, and she noticed that when Harry and Meghan were sat together, they were constantly holding and re-holding hands. And basically, Her Majesty the Queen said it's very nice that, you're all very much in love, etc. However, her thoughts on PDA, public displays of affection, were tactfully pointed out. And her reasoning was simply this, that she said, if things don't go to plan and you do have an argument, for instance, then that will be picked up by the media and spun into a story for days and days. That was the reason why she was very reticent to show public displays herself, even alongside her strengthened stray Prince Philip. And it makes perfect sense. Apparently both agreed. And then, as we now know, more or less straight away, Meghan basically decided to clutch Harry like some kind of magnet every time she went out. And this was brought back to the attention of Her Majesty the Queen. And apparently the reason given from Meghan and her advisor was simply that this is me, this is who I am. And Harry simply couldn't face the world and this job without me showing this affection. I'm not going to be in the background. Basically saying to Her Majesty the Queen, thanks, but no thanks. And that truly, allegedly, was the green light for Her Majesty to realise that things could be very much a rocky path. Neil Shorten in the very heart of London.